Okay, goede dag, veilige dag. It's customary every Motzei Shabbos to share stories about the Baal Shem Tov, and it's known that previous Rebbe said not necessarily to share stories about the Baal Shem Tov, because to share stories about other tzaddikim, and not only is it a bracha for Parnas, it's a bracha for all good things. And not only is it something to do on Motzei Shabbos, you can do this at all times. Not only Motzei Shabbos at all times, not only the Baal Shem Tov, all tzaddikim, and it's a bracha for all things. However, there is a special thing also about sharing stories about the Baal Shem Tov. Tonight I have a story for you about the Baal Shem Tov. Very, very powerful story. Among all of our Rebbes, the most stories we have about visits to the gravesite and experiencing revelation of godliness and conversing with tzaddikim who have passed on, we have this from all of our Rebbes, but the most we have from the Rebbe Rashab. It could be because of many reasons. It could be because the previous Rebbe revealed to us things that previously were not allowed to be revealed. But be it as it may, there are many, many things that we have from the previous Rebbe's diaries of stories that he heard from his father, the Rebbe Rashab, which have, which really show how that for the tzaddikim, the bridge between this world and the higher worlds is not really a long one at all. So this what I'm going to share with you is from the diary of the previous Rebbe, and he begins and says that this passage was written in his diary on Wednesday, the 3rd of Kislev, in the year Tafresh Nun Vav, in the city of Lubavitch at 11 p.m. He said he was studying with his father, Rebbe Rashab, so Tafresh Nun Vav, that means the previous Rebbe was born in Tafresh Mem, I think, is that correct? Therefore, he was 16 years old. So he was learning with his father the section in Tanya, in Tanya, at the end of the Tanya, there are sections that explain deep mystical secrets in Kabbalah. And they were studying the last section of this part of Tanya, where the author makes the point that when someone studies Torah without any specific motive in mind, just because he has a hidden love for Hashem in his heart, the Alter says it's not worse than the breath of children. And the breath of children is elevated by angels to the world of Atzilus, to the highest world of godliness. So the Rebbe Rashab said that when the Alter Rebbe says that the angels elevate their breath to the world of Atzilus, he's talking about something similar to what happens with tzaddikim. That tzaddikim, they when they work very hard to purify their bodies, they also are able to be, their service of Hashem can also be elevated in a similar way. And the Rebbe Rashab told the previous Rebbe to study a certain section of a book called Shar Yechudim, and other sections we studied with him about this topic. And after the previous Rebbe had sufficiently reviewed this and discussed it, the Rebbe Rashab made the following comment. He said that the Alter Rebbe talks about the breath of children. How the breath of children is so pure and so holy that it's able to be elevated to the world of Atzilus. The power of the breath of children is, as it says in Tanya, because their breath is breath that has no sin. They're younger than the age of bar and bas mitzvah, where at that point the person is responsible for their actions in a different way, and therefore their breath has no sin. But the Rebbe Rashab told the previous Rebbe that there is a story that he's going to share with him, and based upon this story, we could explain that there's a deeper meaning to the words breath that has no sin. The simple meaning is, again, that they're younger than the age of sin, but it also means this: the children, when they say Kometz Aleph Kometz Beis Ba, they're learning how to read Hebrew, and they say those letters with simple faith. And this is something that Hashem gave to us. He gave us these letters and gave us these vowels at Mount Sinai through Moses, through Moshe Rabbeinu. And the children say this, it causes a huge tumult and elevation in all the worlds. It causes yuchudim, it causes a divine tumult in all the worlds. Their simple breath of the children with their simple faith, not only because of their age, they're younger than the age of sin, but also because of their simple, pure-heartedness. In other words, their breath itself has no sin. Not just the age of people who have no sin, but more, their recital of Torah is also with purity, with pure faith. So their breath itself of the study of Torah is a breath which is pure, which has no sin. Not because of their age, not because their people have no sin, but the breath itself has no sin because they're saying that these words of Torah with simple faith. So this explanation that the Rebbe Rashab told the previous Rebbe, he said, this I'm telling it to you, I know this explanation based upon the story of the Baal Shem Tov, which I'm going to share with you. The Rebbe Rashab said that in the winter of Tafresh of 1885, he had a very difficult solution. Experts in Moscow, Petersburg, figure out the cause for result. Did it? His father, grandfather, his father used to Okay, sorry about that. So, as I was saying, the Rebbe Rashab had this health issue. He was planning to go to Vienna to see the world-renowned professors and doctors in Vienna. That at that time, Vienna was a place where there were great doctors. And before he went to visit the Ohel and of his father in the city of Lubavitch. And his father said to him that before he goes to Vienna, he should go to the Ohel of the Alter Rebbe in Hadish, and the Mittel Rebbe in Yezhin, and the Baal Shem Tov in Mezhebush, to visit these Ohels before he goes. And when he goes to these particular Ohels of these great tzaddikim, hold on a second. Let me try again. That better? Now it's okay?
Yeah, it's better.
Good?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
video is better now too.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. So um so now that the um now that um you should go to these ohels first, and afterwards you should go to Vienna. So, and before he goes to each ohel, he should prepare himself. How should he prepare himself? So the Rebbe Harash told the Rebbe Rashab that just like I told you in the year 1880 in Tafresh Mem, a certain preparation you should do before visiting the Ohel of my father Tzemach Tzedek, that's the same preparation you should do before visiting the Mittler Rebbe and the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem, whatever that preparation was. And then for 2 weeks, the Rebbe Rashab did as he was told, and made these preparations and visited the Ohel of these tzaddikim, the Baal Shem Tov, the Alter Rebbe, and the Mittler Rebbe. And he said that he received so much from such a wealth from these visits that for 2 years after those 2 weeks, he was still on a high from that great revelation that he received. He told the previous Rebbe, for example, the Maimer, I didn't calm down from that great high, that great revelation, until the year Tafresh Mem Zayin, until the year 1887. That's and when I visited this place called Yalta. Only then did I come back to myself. But I was in such a high for such a long time. For example, he said the Maimer that I said on Shavuos in that Maimer that I shared, that was in Tafresh Mem Zayin in 1887. That Maimer was a Maimer that I had heard from the Mittler Rebbe in Yezhin when I visited his Ohel. So this is this visit to the Mittler Rebbe had that experience. We heard this discourse, and he said when I visited the Baal Shem Tov revealed to me something which is a basis for my second interpretation of the words Hevel She'ein Beichei, breath that has no sin. And based upon this new explanation, it doesn't only apply to children, it applies also to adults as well. Although on the surface it applies to children, but since we're talking about the simplicity and the purity of faith that the children have when they say words of Kamatz Aleph, they say the Hebrew vowels, an adult also could have the same experience, could also have the same impact with his words as well. And the reason Rebbe Rashab said that the basis for this explanation is from the story that he's going to share with the previous Rebbe, that that he heard from Baal Shem. He heard from Baal Shem Tov three things, but he's only going to share this occasion with the previous Rebbe one of them. And he said, although I should also share with you, in order for you to fully understand, fully appreciate this story that Baal Shem Tov shared with me, I should also tell you the appropriate way that one goes to visit the Ohel of someone who he has a relationship with, of someone who he has a familial relationship with, or a spiritual relationship with, and the different ways of visiting a tzaddik and the different ways of preparation that really should be incorporated in this transmission of the story. However, he told the previous Rebbe, I'll tell that to you on another occasion. So the Baal Shem Tov told the Rebbe Rashab the following. He said, when I was 5 years old, so the Baal Shem Tov said, I was orphaned from my father and mother. Before my father passed away, his name was Rebbe Eliezer, he told the Baal Shem Tov that he should be afraid from no one, only from Hashem alone. And right after his father passed away, Baal Shem Tov loved visiting the fields and the forests, and he would go out in the fields and the forests, and he would review all that he learned in school. And the Baal Shem Tov said that sometimes he would sleep overnight in the forests. And the people who took care of him, well, his parents had passed away, but those who took care of orphans in that city couldn't handle his visits to the forest. But that's what would happen. And he did this for 2 years. For 2 years, he was visiting the forest and review his learning. And one time he's visiting the forest, and he hears at a distance the voice of a human being. And he goes and he sees someone who is praying with such an excitement, such an intensity he never saw in his life, the Baal Shem Tov said. And he's thought for sure this person is one of the 36 tzaddikim, as the Gemara says that in every generation there are 36 hidden tzaddikim, and in their merit the world stands. So he thought for sure the person that he is watching to pray is one of these 36. He's watching him for a while. The guy is hiding in the woods, seeing this guy pray in some clearing in the woods, and the guy finishes praying, and when he finishes praying, he says Tehillim with a very sweet voice, and he finishes saying Tehillim, he starts learning Torah. When he finishes learning Torah, he gathers his books together, and he puts on this sack over his shoulders, and he starts to walk away. Baal Shem Tov walks over to him, and he sees the Baal Shem Tov. This little boy in the forest says, "Little boy, what are you doing in the forest? Aren't you afraid to be in the forest?" So Baal Shem Tov said, "My father, Rabbi Eliezer, told me before he passed away, never be afraid of anyone except for Hashem alone." So the man asked the Baal Shem Tov, "Who is your father? Is he perhaps Rabbi Eliezer?" And the Baal Shem Tov said, "That was the name of my father." Yes. So he invited the Baal Shem Tov to accompany him. And the Baal Shem Tov said, "I didn't know where we were going or why we were going, but we would travel together. This man never accepted any donations from anyone as we traveled together. And I never knew his name. And we would travel together for quite some time, for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, he took me into the forest, and we went in the forest. There was a home, and he brought me to this home of a man named Reb Meir, and I stayed in the home of Reb Meir for 4 years. And he, as he spent time with Reb Meir for 4 years, he became part of the inner circle of hidden tzaddikim that was at that time governed by the tzaddik whose name was Rabbi Adam Baal Shem. Before there was Baal Shem Tov, there was another tzaddik name was Rabbi Adam Baal Shem, and he was a leader of the hidden tzaddik. And the Baal Shem Tov said that he would go on various missions for the hidden tzaddikim, and no one in the town of Reb Meir knew the greatness of Reb Meir. Reb Meir himself was a great Torah genius, and he was hidden tzaddik, and he was a great Kabbalist, but no one knew, and he would teach Torah to the Baal Shem Tov. So after 4 years, it's the Baal Shem Tov's birthday. He's 16 years old, and the Baal Shem Tov has at this point in his life a considerable or formidable prowess in the Kabbalah. And so he prayed on, it's customary, as it says in earlier holy books, and as it says in Hayom Yom, on your birthday, you should spend some time in solitude and go over your life and think about what's going on in your life. And so the Baal Shem Tov was spending time in solitude on his birthday. And he was also praying according to, as you knew, a formidable amount of Kabbalah. He was praying according to the teachings of the Arizal, what concentration you have to have for various names of Hashem, and he was praying, and as he is has this quiet moment with Hashem and reaching these heights of Kabbalistic closeness with Hashem, on the 18th of El, on his birthday, Tafresh Ayin Daled, he sees Elijah the prophet, and he had seen Elijah the prophet before, but he had never seen Elijah by himself. He saw Eliyahu Navi before. He saw him with Reb Meir. He saw him before, but this was the first time he saw Eliyahu Navi by himself. He was really like immersed in his prayers and didn't know what was going on around him. But suddenly he saw Eliyahu Navi. Suddenly he saw Elijah the prophet, and he saw Elijah the prophet was smiling. He didn't know why Elijah had come, because again, he never had a visit by himself of Elijah, and he didn't know why he was smiling. And then Eliyahu Navi told the Baal Shem Tov. He says, "You're working so hard. to meditate on the various names of Hashem and the meanings of various names. But Yonavi said to him that the arender means the manager of the hotel that you're staying at, and that the was staying at the time at this kretschmer, at this makeshift hotel. That the proprietors of this hotel were very simple people, and the men and women who ran the hotel had the following custom. The man would often say, Baruch Hashem v'orech la'olam v'ad, blessed be Baruch Hu v'orech la'olam v'ad, blessed be he, may he be blessed forever and ever. And his wife would answer, G'loib zol zayin zayin helik and may his holy name be praised. That's what they would do. So Yoel Navi told the Baal Shem Tov that their words of praise achieves more than the praise of the great tzaddikim. Their simple faith in Hashem, when they say these words of praise, accomplishes more than the praise of the great tzaddikim who know all these great, deep, mystical secrets of the name of Hashem. And the Yoel Navi said, when Aaron Shleiman says, Baruch Hu Baruch Le'olam V'ad, and Zlata Rivka, his wife, says, may his holy name be praised, they make such in all the worlds, they cause yichudim, they cause an elevation in all of the worlds, and and cause such a pleasure to Hashem. Their simple praise for Hashem, their simple faith and praise for Hashem causes such an impact in all the worlds. So the Baal Shem Tov told the Rebbe Hashem that this taught him something. It taught him and this is what caused Baal Shem Tov to begin at this time a new custom. The Baal Shem Tov would continuously go out into the marketplace and travel from village to village, and he would ask people, how are you? How is your health? How is your parnasa? Because the Baal Shem Tov knew the great value of what happens when a Jew praises Hashem. What is the great value? So another occasion, I forgot to mention. Thank you, Chayesar. The teaching that the Baal Shem Tov was remembering when he was doing this prayer before he met Eliyahu Navi, it was taught to him not by Rameh, it was taught to him by Reb Chaim. He spent time at Meir's house, but there's another tzaddik, his name was Reb Chaim, and he taught the Baal Shem Tov how to pray according to the concentration, the kavanah that is. So it says in a pasuk, you Holy One, you sit upon the praise of Israel. You Hashem, who are holy, you sit upon the praise of Israel. So Baal Shem Tov explained that we are supported by Hashem. We sit, in Yiddish, to sit also means to be supported. Mir zitzin, we're supported by Hashem. But who, so to speak, supports Hashem? Baal Shem Tov said that when a Jew says, Baruch Hashem, blessed be Hashem's name, he causes Hashem to, so to speak, sit. What does that mean to sit? Just like when you sit down, you lower your stature. So too, when a Jew praises Hashem, Hashem is infinite. But what causes Hashem's light and blessing to come to the world, to descend into the physical world, is Yoishev Tehillas Yisrael. It's a praise of the Jewish people that causes Hashem's light and blessing to illuminate and to bless and to affect the world. So, Ba'ata Kodesh, you Holy One, what you sit upon, what caused you to descend, to be revealed in the world, is a praise of the Jewish people. And therefore, Baal Shem Tov would go around and ask people, how's your health? Because a person says, thank you, Hashem, for my health, it brings a blessing for his health. A person says, thank you, Hashem, for my income, it brings a blessing to his income. So, and besides the impact of saying those words on in what goes on in heaven, the Baal Shem Tov told the Rebbe Hashem, that there's a great pleasure Hashem has when a Jew blesses him, especially if the praise is said by a simple person. Ubeprati pratis, and it's even more special if this praise is uttered in a consistent way. The person's always praising Hashem, because then the Baal Shem Tov said he's constantly in a state of attachment with Hashem. And that causes such a unique satisfaction to Hashem. And therefore, the Baal Shem Tov began this thing of traveling around, asking people how they are, because this causes such an impact in heaven, especially if it's said with simplicity, and especially if it's said consistently. Simplicity, consistently. That's what causes this major impact in Hashem, in heaven, because you're always attached to Hashem if you're always thanking Hashem. That's the idea. So the Rebbe Rashab said, based upon this story, he has a different insight into the section in Tanya where the Alter Rebbe says that angels elevate the breath of children to the highest world, the world of Atzilus, the breath that has no sin. Based upon the story, it's not only children that have this. It's the reason children have this impact is because they're saying words of Torah with simple faith in Hashem. And so too, when a Jew doesn't know the Kabbalah of the Arizal, doesn't know the deep meaning of the Siddur of the Arizal, but he just says simply, "Blessed Hashem," like we learned in the story about Zlata Rivka and Aaron Shleimai. He said Baruch Hu Baruch Leilavad, and she said Galit and Hail Ganamin. That simple praise of Hashem reaches the highest of worlds and causes such a satisfaction to Hashem. We know this from the story of the Baal Shem Tov. That's how we know this. So that's what Rebbe Rashab told the previous Rebbe, that he heard this from the Baal Shem Tov when he visited there before his visit to his doctors in Vienna. So the Rebbe Rashab told the previous Rebbe that based on this story, it doesn't only apply to children, but also adults as well. When we say our simple faith in Hashem, when we say Baruch Hashem and thank Hashem, it also causes such an impact. There was one occasion that the Baal Shem Tov was in a marketplace, and he said a teaching on the pasuk Ashe Tivchar Skariv Nisbu V'Sechach Deishechalach. The pasuk talks about the courtyards and the chambers and the palaces, and the Baal Shem Tov explains that the courtyards and the palaces, that this verse talks about those who dwell in your courtyards, those who dwell in your chambers. It refers to various angelic beings like souls who are able to be in the courtyard and the chambers of Hashem. But the Baal Shem Tov said, in addition to that, that's true that there are angels and souls that could be in various holy divine places. However, in addition to that, the word Ashrei stands for Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba. Amen, may Hashem's great name be blessed. So Baal Shem Tov said that when any Jew says those words, that's equal for all Jews. You don't have to be in the courtyard. You don't have to be in the palace. Any Jew who says with simplicity, Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba, like the Gemara says, you say Yehei Shmei Rabba, it tears up we say the Yehei Shmei Rabba, all your might, the Gemara says. Then even if there's a decree that's been written and sealed, but saying Yehei Shmei Rabba with all your concentration causes the decrees in heaven to be annulled and canceled. And so right now we're 24 hours before Rosh Chodesh Av. The Gemara says when the month of Av enters, we have to decrease in joy. But the Hasidic masters explain when Av enters, you have to decrease in all the negativity that happened in the month of Av. And how do we decrease in the negativity of the month of Av? It's through increasing in joy. Increasing in joy through ways that are permissible, like by studying Torah, and especially studying Torah about how the temple was built and how the temple will be built, and as we're learning by saying these words of Torah with simple faith in Hashem, or not even saying words of Torah, saying thank you Hashem, blessed be Hashem, that causes salvation for the Jewish people wherever they are, and we should be able to celebrate Rosh Chodesh Av and tonight in Yerushalayim with Mashiach Tzidkeinu, and should be a good Vach and a good Chodesh. Any questions or comments? A good Vach Yuda, good Vach Menachayel, good Vach Betzalel, good Vach Menachem, good Vach Berel, good Vach Abel, good Vach Hayesara.